go through as always and pressure wash the engine compartment down before we install the motor. We're gonna go ahead and clean down the frame, the fenders, all of remaining AC lines and master cylinder and reservoir, power steering pump. Just go through and clean all this stuff off. What's that? Hold on 1 second, sir. Long time no see.
Yep, it'll be the last time you see me too.
Oh yeah, where are you going?
Last day. Well, I've been working, I only work here part-time. I work full-time at Frank's Automotive off of 65th. We only do German and Porsche.
It's an awful lot just to make it go.
It is. It is. Alright, man. See you.
Thank you. Alright, so I just used purple power degreaser. We're just gonna hit everything with it. So here's the finished result, the after. So we got it nice and cleaned up, best we can. We use purple power degreaser, pressure washed the engine compartment out. So we got it nice and clean during our prepping process. Get all this stuff cleaned out before we get that new rebuilt motor in there.
We are using a canine dog to search. We do not want you
They looking for you, Des. So most of our parts came in. Des turned himself in. All is right with the world. So let's go over here and see what we got and prep some of our parts. So here's most of the parts that we pressure washed and cleaned up. We got the starter pressure washed and cleaned off. I mean, you can scrape the gunk and cake off of this. So we pressure washed this off. Our oil filler, our valve covers. We got our intake manifold, and also cleaned up the heat shields, and also the timing cover we cleaned up too. But there's still a couple parts that we need to continue prepping. We cleaned up the torque converter cover as well. Like I said, there's still a few more items to clean up. We need to clean the surfaces of the exhaust manifold, and also on the timing cover needs a little bit of prep work on the timing cover. So we'll get that done, and then we'll show you guys some of the new parts that came in. Same thing on this timing cover. We pressure washed this bad boy off too, but there's still some prepping that needs to be done. We'll knock this old seal out, clean off all this RTV around the water pump housing. And then if you flip it around on the other side, there's still some old gasket material on here that needs to be cleaned up. So you can see we still got some old gasket material in the back that needs to be cleaned up. So we're gonna go through and prep all these parts. So before I show you guys all the new parts we picked up for this rebuild, we went ahead and cleaned up the surfaces on the manifold as well as on the downpipe. So we got our surfaces cleaned up, nice and prepped, ready for our gasket to go on. Same thing on both sides. So we got that together. Of course, we cleaned up our heat shield, got all the rust off the heat shield on both sides. So we got both heat shields cleaned up. Also, let's take a look at the timing cover. Here's the timing cover, got it all cleaned up. Got our water pump surface cleaned up. There's a lot of nicks and grooves in this one. I don't know if you could see that, if the camera could pick it up, but so we'll have to put a thin coat of silicone in here to cover in those imperfections. Even got the the hose spout cleaned off. The gasket surface is all cleaned up and prepped. So when our engine come in, we'll be ready to just install most of this stuff. Also, customer requested to get this removed out of here, the bleeder screw. It's been gouged out with maybe the wrong size Allen socket. So we're gonna try to get that out here in a second. But let me show you the oil pan. So here's our oil pan. We got the surface cleaned up, ready for our gasket to go on. Pressure washed it out, got it as clean as we can get it. So we got all our parts prepped and ready to go. And so before we get that stuck bleeder screw in there, let me show you some of the parts we picked up. Some head gaskets here, as you can see on our 4.7 liter Dodge engine rebuild. I decided to go with genuine Mopar head gaskets, so we got that. Let's see what else we got here. We got rear main bearing seal. Alright, even though when I get our cylinder heads back, basically when I get our whole motor back, Calvin, my machinist, will have a complete gasket set for me, a whole rebuilt kit. It'll come with rings, bearings, thrust washers, freeze plugs, oil galley plugs. I mean the whole thing to get it back together. Gaskets too. However, on the head gaskets, I decided to go with a genuine Mopar, and on a rear main seal, I would like to go either Mopar or Felpro on a rear main seal. So I got those separately, even though they're probably going to come in that kit. So next here, we got us a timing chain kit. So we got all our tensioners and all our gears and everything. Get it back together. You see we got new tensioners here. New chain guides. So all new guides. And then we got chains here. So we got a whole timing set here. I decided to go with the set that just has the guides, tensioners, and chains. I didn't want to go with any of the sets that have gears. For one, there was no stretch in the chain, so I'm not too worried about having to replace the gears because his chain wasn't stretched at all. It was in pretty good shape still, and I wanted to use the original gears because one of them has a camshaft trigger on it, cam position sensor trigger on it, so I wanted to keep that stuff genuine. So we decided to go with this set. Let's see what else we got here. We got some motor mounts. If you guys watched the teardown video, you'll know that the right side motor mount was no good, and so we needed to get another motor mount, but these things weren't that expensive. We still had a little bit of money left over in the budget because Eddie had a brand new water pump on there, so we didn't have to buy the water pump, and I basically just replaced it with the other side motor mount because the other side was wearing out too. Wasn't completely busted, but it was getting there, so we went ahead and did that. All right, we also got some bolts here. These bolts are gonna go for our exhaust downpipes, okay? These bolts are gonna go here to fasten up to our exhaust pipes. So we got new bolts because the bolts that were in there. We got some new bolts for that so we could get it properly secure. See what else we got? We got us a fan clutch here. These are very inexpensive and highly overlooked. Anytime I do a full engine rebuild, I pretty much replace the whole cooling system. A lot of time, effort, and money goes into a rebuild. So why not, go the extra step and purchase more cooling system parts to protect your work. So I always do that to protect my work. So I got a new fan clutch. Even his was wearing out anyway. So I got that along with this radiator here. So along with this radiator here, this is actually a radiator in this box here. So we got him a brand new radiator. His pump on there was already new. It looks new, I can tell. And it's a genuine Mopar pump. Looks like a good pump. So he'll have a new pump, new radiator, new fan clutch. Of course, new coolant and everything circulating through cleaned out block and cylinder heads. So it should run pretty. Of course, to go along with all the cooling system parts, we got us a genuine Mopar thermostat. Always go genuine on your thermostat if you can. Like I've said before, I've had terrible success using aftermarket thermostats. So always go genuine. If you have to buy an aftermarket thermostat, buy a Murray's thermostat. Anyway, moving on to some of the other components. So, of course, we got a brand new oil pump. It is a full rebuild. So we got us a brand new oil pump. So we got us an oil pump there. Let's see what else here. We got a new lower radiator hose. Upper radiator hose looked like it was in pretty good shape, so we just got the lower hose. Also, you can see here we got some ignition system components. Check it out. All right, so we got some copper plugs. These are actually the OE spark plugs for that vehicle. So if you need to know what the OE plug is, it's right here. All right. Next, we got in our ignition system, we got new crank sensor. Okay, I'll always replace the cam and crank sensors on my full rebuilds. So you can see We also went ahead and got a cam sensor, genuine Mopar on the cam sensor. And so we got our ignition system components. Also got another coolant temp sensor. He does have an electric fan, and this coolant temp sensor switches that fan on. So again, we want to keep the vehicle cool. So we want to protect our
So
oil.
that brings us to our oil filters.
As you can see, I got 2 oil filters here. The Fram filter is going to be for the break-in process. We're going to fully break it in before we have them come and pick it up. So we're going to run it first on this Fram, and then once we break the motor in, drain the oil, and you know, fill it back up, then we'll run a genuine Mopar filter on it. Let's see what else we got as far as parts. Of course, we got some bolts here. Our head bolts came in. So these are our long head bolts. One box for each side. Also, we got a new drain plug because the drain plug on his oil pan is toast. So you can see this drain plug on this oil pan is toast. It's really jacked up, and so the last thing I want is a full rebuild and can't change the oil because this thing is all rounded and stripped out. So while I was able to crack it loose, we'll go ahead and put a new drain plug in there. And then these bolts here are the short bolts. So there's long bolts and there's short bolts on the cylinder head. All right, last but not least, I got some exhaust manifold bolts. A couple of the exhaust manifold bolts broke off. I don't know if you remember that from the first video, but or from the teardown video. But we got some more exhaust. You can see a couple of them are actually still stuck inside the heat shield. One broken off there, another one broken off here. So we got new bolts for the exhaust. All right, so that's it for the parts that I purchased. Everything else is going to come back from the machine shop. You know, our piston rings, our rod bearings, our core plugs, and oil galley plugs, and all that stuff will come with our engine back from the machine shop. So all our parts prep is done. We're just waiting on our machinists to give us a call. They are a busy machine shop. Hundreds of auto repair shops use this machine shop in Sacramento. So including myself, the work is outstanding. So I just called my machinist, everything checked out on the heads and the block and the cam cranks. Everything's good. They're in the process of getting all the machine work done. They're actually working on it now. Like I stated, hundreds of auto repair businesses use this machine shop because of the quality of the work, including myself. Although I do get some certain privileges with them, I can't cut the line. There's lots of other stuff in front of us. So we'll just have to wait until they get done. But so that's all the parts we got, guys. So let's get this timing cover and see if we can get this bleeder screw out. All right, let's see if we can get this thing out. This is what is this? This is an 8mm metric. This one's a 5/16. See which one fits a little better. I feel like the 8mm fits a little better. Let's see if we can bust it loose. I've been letting it soak with penetrant oil as well. All right, let's see if we can get this thing off. Whoa, that's in there. Let's use a little impact. Let's try this. slipping pretty good. Oh yeah, that's gouged out pretty good. Try the 5/16. That's gouged out pretty good. Alright, let's see if we can find something for this. Flathead in here to grip from corner to corner. And pound it in there. See if that'll do it. Alright, so we got that wedged in there pretty good. Let's see if we can turn this. Let's get a little impact. Well, I thought that would work. This flathead is not working. It's probably because there's probably a bunch of Loctite in this. I'm gonna try to hammer in a torch socket now before I have to pull out my air hammer. Alright, so we got our little torch socket in there. Let's see if we can turn it loose. Alright. Alright, so here's our new one, provided by the customer. So we'll put a little bit of thread sealer on this. And install it. This is how it turned out. So we got it in there. Looks like it's good to go. Alright guys, so that's pretty much it as far as the prep work goes. I can't think of anything else I can do to be ready when the motor comes back in. I talked to my machinist. He said that he's getting close to wrapping it up. So we should be beginning the reassemble process pretty soon. So I just wanted to make sure I got everything nice and prepped to make things a lot smoother as we reassemble the engine.